Good afternoon. Thank you all for being patient with us. Is everybody set? Yeah? Okay. Well, we wanted to come in and give you all a briefing on some changes, some proposed changes to our body-worn camera policy. As you all, this technology is always evolving. The policies that deal with it are always evolving. They're very much living documents. Not to mention, we've got some new legislation that came about that we need to make sure that we're keeping mindful of. We just sent off a letter a little bit ago to Commissioners Court asking them for some assistance. Basically, and I'll put it in a nutshell, that we are certainly looking to evolve our policies to be more in keeping with best practices as far as timelines for release. But we're also going to be asking commissioners for help with regard to best practices on technology to facilitate the timely release. And I'll be more specific. So here, as of late, we've been looking to update our policy, obviously, in keeping with the legislative updates. But one of the things that has continued to be a source of contention is when to release. When do you release, and when can you release? Well, our policy that we currently have in place, while it has not named a timeline, is very much in keeping with the law. Everything that we do is in keeping with the law. When we submitted for a body-worn camera grant a couple of years back, a year and some change back, it was recognized as a go-to policy, and it was accepted as fact. But one of the things that we were not able to put in our policy was a timeline. When do you release? Do you release it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, if ever? And so what we were doing was we were spending a lot of time talking to the district attorney's office. When is it appropriate, as far as they're concerned, to release? Because one of the concerns being is if and when you release video, what does it do to a jury pool? Are you polluting a jury pool to the point where somebody can't have a fair and impartial trial because of the fact that we've put this video evidence out there? As we're evolving our policy, I've spent some time talking to the DA. The DA is confident, and he set my mind at ease that they over there at the DA's office can overcome any obstacles that may be presented by video being put out. Tomorrow, as it stands, at tomorrow's Commissioners Court, we were supposed to be presenting a proposed upgrade to our body-worn camera system, body-worn camera and taser system. That item didn't get presented after all. We were notified on Friday evening that our line item would not be presented, so we're still trying to find out why. However, we did feel the need to go ahead and press forward with making known our proposed changes to our draft policy with regard to timelines. We're actually looking at upping or plainly stating a timeline of 30 days that our body-worn camera video from critical incidents will be released within 30 days. Although, yes, it's a bit of an ambitious timeline. I fully realize that I'm asking a lot of my folks, especially in light of the fact that currently, as it stands, I don't believe we've got the staffing to do so, and I don't believe we've got the technology to do so. So I can tell you that at this point, that policy that you were just handed is a draft policy that we're sharing with you all, but we're not going to be able to implement that until we receive the technology that would allow us to do it. We're hopeful that even though it didn't get presented, it's not going to be presented tomorrow after all for whatever reason, that we'll overcome whatever obstacles there are there, and hopefully, my hope is that we'll be able to present this sometime in early January. There's some challenges to that. Axon, the company that makes our body cameras and our tasers, these are 2019 prices that they're offering us as part of this upgrade package. It's kind of a bundling deal, I guess, to steal a phrase from the cell phone industry. It's kind of a bundle because Taser and Axon are both made by the same parent company, and the two products actually talk to each other quite a bit. As a matter of fact, that's what's going to make this upgrade such an exciting thing for us, is that these two products will not only be upgraded on their own, but their communication abilities will be enhanced. And so that's why we're really looking forward to the possibility of having this upgrade done. However, being that this item's not going to be presented tomorrow after all, we're still not 100% sure that Axon's going to honor the price that we were quoted some months back when all of this back and forth started. We're hoping so, but we'll end up seeing what happens with that. Now, what we know is what brought about this upgrade idea is that we know that the tasers that we carry, and you see one there on Deputy Johnny Garcia's hip, those tasers are at what we would call end of life. They're ready to be replaced. As a matter of fact, they don't even make that taser anymore. There's a newer model that does a lot more than that one does. So basically, if Deputy Johnny Garcia's taser died today and it was done, we don't have one to replace it with. We'd have to go to Axon and buy a new one, the newer, more upgraded model. Well, when Axon found out that I think it's 77% of our tasers are at end of life and need to be upgraded, they said, well, why don't you just go ahead and bundle the whole thing? Basically, in essence, we would step up our replacement procedures because our cameras are due to be replaced over the course of the next 2 or 3 years. As the newer models are coming in, they said, well, why don't you just do it all at one time? Go ahead and upgrade your tasers. Go ahead and upgrade all your cameras. So basically, be stepping up the process, and in the process of that, you're going to save, I believe it was $1.3, $1.5 million if you just do it all now. So it's a chunk of money now, but it represents a savings over the course of the next several years. And I would not be able to give you the math off the top of my head. I can tell you that right now. But it seemed like a reasonable thing to us. It seemed like a really good deal to us that not only will our tasers be upgraded, our cameras will be upgraded. It comes with a whole slew of new features that would be upgraded. And so let me give you a perfect example of that and why that upgrade is what would make a release of video possible at the 30-day mark. So let's say, for argument's sake, this is an officer-involved shooting. You all are law enforcement officers, and I'm the other person involved, the civilian person involved. Well, when we go to release body camera video, we've now got to release 8 body camera videos because everybody there is wearing one. And although it captures the same event, it captures it from a distinctive vantage point. So your camera may capture something that theirs did not, or vice versa. And so let's say, again, for argument's sake, a child is standing right here. Well, by law, that child's face has to be redacted out of the video. You can't show that. And let's say a civilian car, uninvolved, passes behind us, and that license plate is captured on the video. Well, that license plate has to be redacted 8 times. That child's face has to be redacted 8 times. The technology that we currently have, and although we don't have the personnel to do it at this point, we'd have to go through and watch your video, your body camera video in its entirety, and sit there and manually redact that child's face and that license plate. And then we'd have to do it for years and years and years and years. This new technology, if my understanding of it is correct, is you go in and you say, we want this face always redacted, no matter what, and we want all license plates redacted, no matter what. You enter it, and then it's basically real time. If you've got an hour worth of video that you need to redact all license plates and identify personal identifying features and children's faces and the faces of uninvolved witnesses, then the software that we're going to be upgrading to does that automatically. So it drastically decreases the labor time, thereby drastically decreasing the amount of time that it would take before you can release the video. So we're excited about it. We are, again, we realize that this is a pretty ambitious change if we're able to take full advantage of this and go to that timeline. But we believe that we can if commissioners will help us out with regard to that equipment upgrade. I have no reason to believe that they won't support us on it. It's just a matter of, can the manufacturer still honor that same price? I can tell you that due to that line item being pulled off of the agenda Friday night for presentation tomorrow, my understanding is that the Axon folks had already made arrangements to be there with us tomorrow. So they're still going to come to court tomorrow, even though this, to be clear, this upgrade's not going to be presented at Commissioner's Court. It didn't make it onto the agenda. So they'll still be there to answer whatever questions commissioners might have as they decide whether they want to allow me to come back in January with this, and as Axon decides whether they'll be able to honor the price. Este día nosotros estamos dando más información tocante unos cambios que van a venir a nuestras pólizas y que se centran en nuestras cámaras de video que nuestros oficiales usan en patrulla. Nosotros ahorita no tenemos un periodo de tiempo en nuestra póliza donde vamos a soltar el video para el público. Nosotros ahorita estamos pensando en hacer unos cambios en esa póliza que nos va a dejar dar ese video al público en 30 días. Ahora, necesitamos más tecnología y más mejor equipo para poder asegurar que nosotros vayamos a poder quedarnos con esos tiempos, pero nosotros tenemos las esperanzas que con el apoyo de los comisioneros y con la ayuda de la compañía que hace estos dos productos, o sea, el taser y la cámara, es la misma compañía. Ojalá nosotros podemos trabajar todos juntos para asegurar que este equipo nos den los modelos más nuevos para poder asegurar que podemos hacer estos cambios. I'll open it up to whatever questions you might have. I know that was kind of a lot of information.
Sheriff, is this press conference and the note you sent to Commissioners Court kind of like a fire to get other commissioners to get this done quicker?
No, Joey, I don't think so. I think it's just letting them know where I stand. I believe that here in the next couple of days, if not tomorrow, you'll all be seeing a report that came about criticizing our body-worn camera policy, that it's not exact enough. And I stood up and said, I agree with you, it's not. And we're already thinking about going to a even faster turnaround time to get this stuff released. But here's what I need to make that happen. I'm in support of it, I agree with you. But here's what I'm asking for. Now, we were hopeful that we were going to be able to present it tomorrow and they were going to approve it. Obviously, I'm getting ahead of myself, right? That we would have presented it, they would have approved it, we would have gone into the upgrade, and then I could have said, okay, oh yeah, by the way, here's a policy that's going to allow us to revolutionize the way the sheriff's office is releasing video. Unfortunately, Friday evening when we were at the Christmas tree lighting, I got a call from one of the commissioners that says, hey, that budget item we talked about is not there. And we started making phone calls, and obviously y'all know how much can be accomplished on a Friday evening going into a holiday weekend. So we weren't able to get a whole lot of answers as to why it was pulled. Maybe there's budgetary questions that needed to be answered. I don't know, but it got pulled. Well, if we still had plenty of year left, I wouldn't worry about it. But we had already been told by Axon, hey, we can't continue to honor those prices forever. I mean, there's a limit to how long we can honor those prices. And tomorrow we know is the last Commissioners Court of the year. I wouldn't say we went into a panic, but we did go into, okay, well then what next? And so we've been talking on the phone with the Axon people. Again, we've been assured that they're going to be here tomorrow to support us and to answer whatever questions commissioners might have. Commissioners can't, I guess by law, they can't adopt it into the agenda because the agenda's already been set. It was set on Friday. And so what we're hopeful of is that tomorrow commissioners will go, yeah, you know what, we'll agree, let's let you bring this item back in January. Obviously not agreeing to anything, but just other than, hey, we'll hear it again in January. And then again, we're hopeful that Axon will go, okay, well, if you guys will commit that you'll hear it the first week of the first session in January, then we'll go ahead and honor that price through January 31st. So the stars have to align just right, but again, I'm hopeful that we'll be able to even go better than what's being asked of us in this publication you guys are going to see.
Sheriff, if this is such an important item and it is worth so much more, why leave it until the very last minute to put it on the agenda? And how much more is this going to cost taxpayers?
Well, we've actually over the course of the past couple months, probably 6 months, we've actually tried to come to Commissioners Court with this a couple times. And other things get in the way, or we're asked to pull it off, or it's not ready to be presented. But we've tried a couple times. And then here about a month ago, I actually, to be quite frank with you, had kind of given up on presenting it because we'd already had a couple of false starts. And then Axon came to us and said, hey, one last time, we're not going to honor this price forever. Do we want to do this or not? And so that's when we said, okay, well, it's use it or lose it time. Either we just say, no, we're not going to ask for it, and we let it be gone forever. Look, this equipment has to be upgraded regardless. It's going to be upgraded. So I said, basically what we're doing is we're stepping up the process, and we're asking for it to be done right now. What if I didn't ask for it to be done right now? They said, well, in 2 years from now, it'll look like this anyway, but it will have cost us, the way the math was presented to me, it's going to look like this anyway in about 2 years, and it will have cost us about $1.3 million more over the course of that contract. But if we're able to do it now and get it, you know, there's obviously, as you guys know, y'all have dealt with cell phones, y'all have dealt with appliances. If you bundle stuff right now, obviously, and to some extent it could be considered a sales tactic. If you sign on the dotted line today, we'll save you this much money. That's the way it's been presented. So it wasn't that we wanted to wait till the last Commissioners Court, Patty. It was just that at this point, the manufacturer came to us and said, hey, look, this deal's not going to last forever. Do you want it or not? And so I believe it's going to be about $9 million in total. It's money that was going to be spent anyway, but it's either do you want to spend $9 million now or $10.3 million over the course of the next couple of years. And again, some of the numbers may be off, but as I understand it, those are pretty fair numbers right there.
So it's a $1.3 million discount that the parent company is offering y'all if you do it now?
I'm told it's a savings if we're able to bundle everything together now. And the changes, on my understanding, is that they happen immediately instead of over the course of the next 2 years. So let me tell you, if we go back up to one of the officer-involved shootings that we had last year. During the course of that shooting, we realized that a feature existed on one of the tasers that was there. Okay, during the struggle within one of these incidents, one of the officers' deputies' body cameras shut off. And then all of a sudden, we realized that it turned itself back on, or it seemed to turn itself back on, and we couldn't tell why. Within the system, we were able to tell that his body camera, the switch was just flipped. He didn't do it manually, because in the two videos, you can see his hands out here as he's struggling, and his body camera turns off. And then when the body camera somehow turns back on, his hands are still out here during the course of this struggle. What we were able to determine is that one of the deputies there on scene was out of the cadet class that had just graduated like 4 days earlier. She had the newest model of taser with her that has a feature on it that will turn on everybody's cameras within a certain radius. And so I said, okay, well then how do we get that taser for everybody in the agency? And this upgrade would give us that. That in and of itself is just, I think that's a lifesaver. But some of the other upgrades that will be part of this is a device that will go on all of our holsters, for example. That if I pull my gun, whether I pull the trigger or not, the minute I pull my gun, it's going to turn on everybody's tasers around as well. So again, some of the agencies in the area, I believe, already have these upgrades. They're already done. We're just really catching up with what a couple of other people are doing. Again, we're trying to step up our technology to common best practices.
Since the body-worn cameras have been in effect, since your deputies have been using them, how many requests have you gotten? How many have you released, if any?
I wouldn't know how many we've gotten, but I know we haven't released very many outside the, obviously with the DA's office, we're always sending videos back and forth, but I don't know that we've released very many to the public. It's just right now, the technology doesn't exist to do it to the extent that it needs to. Again, one of the things that we're asking for in this letter to commissioners is 2 positions that had been applied for in a grant, and they were granted, but through the budgetary process, for whatever reason, we never got those positions funded. So we're asking for those 2, and those 2 positions would be civilian video techs. They're called librarians in here. That's their job, is to maintain all this video and to catalog it and be able to go retrieve it, make the appropriate redactions, and then they would be working with our open records people, for example, to release it to you guys if when the time comes. But again, we're asking for the help from commissioners.
So if you knew that this was for sake of transparency, is that you were bringing in this body-worn cameras, why was it not planned ahead to have the policy in place as to when the body cameras would be released, the video images, and also to have the technology in place prior to purchasing them?
Well, again, with our policy that was in place when we purchased the body cameras was the newest and best. It was accepted. When we submitted for our body camera grants from the feds, we were actually complimented on our policy being thorough, and it is accepted. It's within the law. It's within best practices in some parts of the country. Obviously, here we're being asked to do more. to go above and beyond that, and we're way more than willing to go above and beyond and set what I think is a pretty ambitious, maybe some might say overly ambitious timeline. But again, I just need the technology to do it.
Sheriff,
Yes, sir.
if your goal is to have commissioners get on it or approve what you need,
Mhm.
why use the media to relay that message to them? Why not just up and running?
Because, well, we did contact them directly with this, but I knew that it was, if once we sent that letter out tonight at about 8 o'clock, you all would start blowing up Johnny once that letter made it out to the public. Or I can say, you know what, let's just go ahead and call everybody together and do it all at once. So that's all it is just letting, you know, obviously y'all know that any correspondence that I send to commissioners is public record. Let's just go ahead and rip off the Band-Aid, so to speak, and let's just get everybody done all together.
That $9 million, how many tasers and how many cameras would it cost?
550 of the body cameras, but how many tasers? Okay, full replacement, so about 550
What's the 550 of each one?
of each one. I'll let Johnny let you know if it's any different than what I'm saying, but I believe it's about 550 of each one.
And so forgive me if this is getting too
No,
much
no.
into the weeds. Is that for like one for pretty much every deputy, or is that, you know, to have some and then extra in case they're needed?
Yeah, I mean, that's everybody that currently has body cameras and tasers, and then obviously, yeah, you know, when you order a product like that, I don't know, 10% for waste, or hey, I fell down and broke mine, or mine just stopped working for whatever reason. So yes, they'll probably, there's going to be some replacements in there as well.
And what's the timeline right now for releasing video? Because you're looking at proposing 30 days if this new equipment goes through. So what is the timeline and process in which video is released to the public right now?
Right now, it's not clearly stated in our policy. Now, some other agencies throughout the state have 30 days, some have 60 days, some don't clearly state when. It's just kind of a done on a case by case. I feel comfortable having a more clearly stated, it will be done by this date. Now, obviously, will there be a case here and there where we say, oh man, we can't release it at the 30-day mark for whatever reason? Obviously, then I'll have some explaining to do, and I'll have to tell you all in writing, hey, here's why we can't let it go at the 30-day mark. Maybe we don't yet have this guy identified, and if we put his picture out there, I don't know, I'm just off the top of my head. If we put his face out there, he's gonna flee the country. There may be instances where I just can't do it within the 30 days. Then I'll have to explain it at that point, why. But again, I'm pretty confident that if we're able to upgrade to this technology, we'll be able to get it done.
And what's the timeline? If it's approved, when would you do that?
Well, if, and there's a lot of ifs here, Patty. I don't know for sure that it'll happen this way. But if commissioners tomorrow say, yes, we would love to see it come the first week of the first session in January. And then if Axon says, you know what, we'll go ahead and honor that price through January 31st. And then if it gets approved at Commissioners Court, then I'm told that we'll start seeing new equipment hit us almost immediately thereafter. Now, bear in mind, this may be the government form of immediately thereafter. So, it won't be within 2 hours. Although I'd love to see it. I'm an I want everything right now guy. But obviously, government procurement doesn't always work like that. So the process will start immediately thereafter, though. Okay? Thank y'all so much.
I have a question about something unrelated to this question.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you about the missing kids and BCSO has been talked about recently.
Mm-hmm.
Why have there been so many, and is there any indication of anything?
I don't know that they're connected, right? I don't have any indication that they're connected. Do we know that anecdotally around the holidays things like this do start to pick up? Yes, we do. There could be a variety of reasons why. Maybe I live with my mom, I want to live with my dad, and especially now here at the holidays, I really want to go see my dad. That may be the instance. Or vice versa. You may have a dad that says, I've got every right to go see my kid. I don't care what that divorce decree says. I'm going to go pick him up and take him. Or you may just have a kid that, for whatever reason, decided to run away from home. We don't know, but yes, you're right. We are seeing a bit of an uptick. But I wish we did know. We do know some pretty sobering statistics when it comes to kids running away. We know that, that within 48 hours, 95, 96% of the kids that do run away are approached by a trafficker. In most cases, they're approached by a trafficker. We do know that when a child that runs away from home enters that world of trafficking or is pulled into that world of human trafficking, I should say, their life expectancy is about 6 years. And we also know that, again, statistics speaking, that once a child is pulled into that world of trafficking, we only stand about a 2% chance of getting them back. And so I don't mean to be overly fatalistic. I certainly don't mean to scare anybody, but this is why it's a constant reminder that we're always putting out the message: keep an eye on your kiddos, keep an eye on who they're hanging out with, keep an eye on who they're associating with. None of us want to be that helicopter parent that's, hey, well, who are you talking to on the phone? Let me look through your phone. Let me check your messages. But in this day and age, you've absolutely got to be. And when people ask me, well, what's the right age for me to have the talk with my kids about trafficking and sexting and strangers online, I would say there's no magic number to as far as age. But if and when you believe your child is responsible enough, absolutely have the talk. If they are engaged in online gaming, I say have the talk with them. Because again, they may think that they're playing video games with another 12-year-old girl from another state, and in reality, it's a 40-year-old guy that might live in your city and is a pedophile. Or definitely, if they've reached the age where you're giving them a communication device like a cell phone or an iPad that's got online capabilities, have the talk with them then and there, and let them know that on the internet, everything is not what it seems all the time, right? That 12-year-old little girl you think you're talking to may not be a 12-year-old little girl. So again, we'll just use this latest string of young folks disappearing and running away as another reminder that parents, we've got to be on the ball, especially knowing at this time of the year, emotions may be running higher because of the holidays. And they're out of school a little bit more. They may be online a little bit more. So the conditions are certainly there for bad things to happen. But it's incumbent upon parents and educators and law enforcement to all work together to make sure that we're doing our best to protect our kiddos. If we do an online human trafficking class between us and a nonprofit called Ransom Life, it's about an hour long. It's called Lures and Lies, and we'll tailor it to either kids, or we'll tailor the same presentation to parents, or a combination thereof, because you may want to bring your kids into this. Is there lots of awkward conversation going on during this presentation? Yeah, it's going to be a little uncomfortable. They're going to squirm a little bit. We're going to ask parents and kids to have that tough, awkward conversation on the way home after the presentation. We do offer the presentation in person, and we offer it online via Zoom. If you want to schedule one, you can email us at stophumantrafficking@bear.org, all one word, stophumantrafficking@bear.org. That'll come to the public information office here at the sheriff's office, and then we'll set you up for either an in-person or a Zoom presentation between us and Ransom Life.
Have there been any changes learned in public about these missing children since their
Not to my knowledge, there haven't been any updates other than what we put out, and I think we just put one out here a few minutes ago. 2 girls were found. The 2 girls were found? Which ones were those?
It was Autumn and B.
Okay, well, we're happy to report that those 2 young ladies were found safe and sound, I'm assuming. That hadn't reached me yet, but we're certainly happy. But for every, and again, I hate to sound fatalistic and scary, but for every one that we get back, there's 10 others that we don't. So again, I would just urge everybody to stay on top of what your kiddos are doing and keep an eye on them as much as to the extent possible.
Who had them? The 2 girls who had
I'll have to get that information first, but they were reunited with the family. Has Devin Smith been found?
I'm sorry?
Has Devin Smith been found? Any other words you'd like to report?
No, ma'am.
¿Lo de las 2 niñas la puede decir en español?
Sí, las 2 niñas que hoy día pusimos en las redes sociales, afortunadamente fueron encontradas. Me dicen que están bien y están con familiares ahorita, pero no sé muchos detalles de dónde fueron encontradas, pero nos da mucho gusto que las encontramos, y aunque nosotros con respecto a estas 2 niñas tuvimos éxito, hay muchos más que hasta el momento no tenemos éxito. Es importante que ahorita los papás, los maestros, los oficiales de la ley, todos trabajemos juntos para asegurar que nuestros niños tienen la información que ellos necesitan para protegerse. Pero también es importante para nosotros estar al tanto de con quién se están juntando, en cuáles momentos se están juntando y con quién están hablando por las redes sociales y por los teléfonos celulares. Okay? Thank you guys. Appreciate it.